Good evening to all the residents of Hankey, Potensi, Lurie and Thornhill who are joining us tonight for your IDP meeting, where we're going to be discussing the Integrated Development Plan as well as the draft budget, which went through Council at the end of March. And we are very honoured tonight to have Mayor Horatio Hendricks with us, as well as officials from the municipality. Sorry about that. We do have a couple of technical glitches in this new format that we have of virtual meetings. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight, both our councillors, our mayor and our officials. And we will be discussing, as I mentioned, the IDP as well as the budget tonight. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Colleen Dreyer, who is the IDP manager of Kouga Municipality. Mrs. Dreyer, over to you.
Thank you, Councillor Brenton. Good evening, everybody. The IDP is a government-initiated process that municipalities follow in preparation of their 5-year strategic plans for developments. It is an instrument that provides guidance on the budgeting and decision-making processes of municipalities. It can also be seen as an umbrella plan for a specific municipality and the areas falling within the municipal borders. It coordinates the decision-making and budgeting of the municipality in the improvement of the quality of life for the community of a particular ward. An efficient IDP makes provision for social and economic development for an entire area within the municipality. The IDP as such provides for the overall framework for land use management, infrastructure development and the protection of the environment. The IDP is also guided by the legislative framework, now Section 34 of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act 32 of 2000 prescribes that the annual review and amendment of Integrated Development Plan is that a municipal council must review its integrated development plan annually in accordance with an assessment of its performance measurements in terms of Section 441, and to the extent that changing circumstances so demand, and may amend its integrated development plan in accordance with a prescribed process. Number 2, the legal framework contents processes and procedures relating to the IDP originates from Chapter 5 of the Municipal Systems Act, Act 32 of 2000, read with Section 21(1) A and B, 22A 1 and 2, and 17(3) of the Municipal Finance Management Act, Act 56 of 2003. We also call it the MFMA as abbreviated, as well as Section 17(3) of the MFMA stipulates that any proposed amendments to the IDP following the annual review of the IDP in terms of Section 34 of the Systems Act must be tabled by the mayor together with the IDP, with the budget.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dreyer. We're now going to hand over to our Honourable Mayor, Horatio Hendricks, who's going to take us through the ward priorities and of the IDP. So, Mayor, over to you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Good evening to all residents in the Gamtoos Valley. As always, it remains a privilege to present the Integrated Development Plan and account on the implementation of key priorities to our communities and our stakeholders. As already indicated, this will be the first time in Kouga's history that we present the IDP virtually. Although this is a form of community engagement that presents inherently its own challenges, we must overcome these barriers that COVID-19 created for us, but not accounting to our people through whatever obstacles we have to face is never an option. Our process will be to present the IDP and draft budget for 21-22 virtually over 4 major areas in Kouga that includes Jeffreys Bay, Humansdorp, the Gamtoos Valley and the Greater St. Francis Bay. During these area consultation meetings, we will cover collectively each ward in the respective areas. Since taking over Kouga in August 2016, we were faced with many challenges. A poorly governed municipality, some wildfires, and the start of a prolonged drought were just some of them. Over the years, we have succeeded in turning around our fortunes of this municipality that was almost on the brink of collapse, and we turn it into a place of hope, a place where people can pursue happiness and prosperity. Some of the major projects completed over the past 4 years include the drilling of boreholes in the Gamtoos Valley. 2 viable boreholes was drilled in Hankie and 2 boreholes in Potensi, and these were connected to the water supply. This is a great step towards water security in the area. More than 100 households at informal settlements of Mountain View in Hankie have access to water near to their homes for the first time after 4 communal taps were installed and connected to the main water supply. The bulk water supply line from Potensi Water Treatment Works to Ramaphosa Village was replaced, while a new water line was installed to the informal settlement of Stovok, and the Potensi Wastewater Treatment Works is nearing completion. Several container ablution facilities were furthermore delivered to residents in Stovok. Fencing and gates were installed at the Hankie Water Treatment Works and the Luri Pump Station. The resealing of and upgrade of roads which provide access to livelihoods and support economic development are also a top and ongoing priority. Roads that received a new lease of life includes a section of Judy Street, Charlie Milan Street, Thier Street and Steerman Street, as well as the main access road to Luri. Chume Street in Hankie was also tarred for the first time. History was made in the Gamtoos Valley with 10 local SMMEs being employed by the municipality to build temporary shelters to beneficiaries of the upcoming Hankie IDP housing project. A total of just over 200 shelters have already been built to accommodate families from the informal settlement Stovok who had to move while we installed the housing sites and the houses being built there. Electricity to about 179 of these shelters was switched on today, earlier this afternoon. Close to 800 title deeds were handed out to residents from Thornhill, Ramaphosa Village and Hankie, while Stovok residents also received electricity at a cost of 4 million rand, and several high-mast lights were installed across the Gamtoos Valley. A new play park was installed at Yellowwoods in Hankie, while the park in Potensi was upgraded and a fence was erected at Luri Play Park. The Phillipsville and Potensi Sports Field and the Katrina Felix and Vusumzi Community Hall were also upgraded, as well as the Thornhill Clubhouse. While there are still many mountains that we need to climb, and a virus that we still need to combat together, we're on the track and determined to deliver a system of good governance through service excellence. The support from our business sector, the community-based groups and individuals have also been nothing short of amazing, and we are confident that with you by our side, no obstacles will ever be too big for us to overcome and to build a strong and united Kouga. As we enter the final year of our 5-year strategic plan known as the IDP, we need to close the circle on over the next few months as we go to elections. We never promised to do better. We offer to serve you better by striving for good governance through service excellence. This remains our single most commitment to you. I will now present the IDP in terms of your key priorities. Before I hand over to the Finance Department, we'll present the annual budget for 21-22. So with respect to Ward 7, some of the key priorities that was listed was the formalization of Chalksville in Thornhill. This is part of the human settlements projects. This project is funded. We received about 18 million rand from the Department of Human Settlements that was transferred to the district municipality of Sarah Bartman Chalksville is one of the 9 approved informal settlements that will receive an upgrade. Acquiring land for housing, this project is currently still unfunded. There was, this we will have to negotiate with the department in terms of our IGR. Land was acquired in the financial year of 2019-2020. The current challenge of bulk infrastructure to make planning human settlement projects feasible is still ongoing, an ongoing request. Currently this project is unfunded. Initiate skills development programs in construction in Lurie and Thornhill. Training was provided in the previous financial year and will also be part of the next financial year. The upgrading of roads in Lurie and Thornhill. The entry, as I already indicated, the entry road to Lurie has already been resealed. I think there's a portion of money also allocated for the upgrading of roads that will start in the new financial year. So this project is funded and more roads will be done in Lurie and Thornhill. The installation of bulk infrastructure in Ward 7, this is currently still unfunded. The budget for the pre-planning is still required, so we still need to find some more money. Hopefully with some external funding we will get to that project. The construction of the houses in Lurie and Thornhill, this project is still unfunded. This is one of our block projects due to the lack of bulk infrastructure, and therefore we still need to source money for that. Identification of land for cottages in both towns, this is still unfunded. Assessment was done on the land that we did buy and this was found to be unsuitable for cottages, so we still have to keep looking. The upgrading of the old and existing cemeteries in Lurie and Thornhill. The Thornhill EIA has been approved for the cemetery in Thornhill. Lurie still has to be prioritized. The upgrading of the sports field in both towns. We've already completed the upgrade of the Thornhill sports ground, and the Lurie one will form part of a MIG project in the current year. In Ward 9 Hankey, the construction of houses in Hankey, we're waiting for approval from the Department of Human Settlements. I think we about to have already submitted a business plan in terms of that project, and that needs to be funded by the Human Settlements Department. Paving of tar roads in a few streets that is named there, Populier, Geelhout and Protea Street. This will be prioritized in the next financial year, or one of the outer years of our budget. The installation of high-mast lights, as I indicated in the Humansdorp IDP meeting, we bought 3 high-mast lights there. High-mast lights are very expensive, and year on year we'll have to prioritize a budget in terms of bringing some of these lights to the Gamtoos Valley. Redirect sewer overflow behind Centerton Sports Field. The service provider is already appointed and is currently in the pre-planning phase. The construction of a new library, this is not our mandate and therefore it's not funded in our budget. We'll have to handle this in terms of IGR and ask the Department of District if they can come on board. The construction of a play park for children in Ward 9. We've already done a play park at Yellowwoods Park, and I would propose that if the communities of Ward 9 wants more play parks, they prioritize this in the Ward Development Fund through their Ward Councillor. In Ward 10 Potensi, the fencing of the cemetery was requested. This project is funded and will be prioritized in the 21-22 financial year. The acquisition of land, this project is still unfunded. I think that land was requested for housing. We'll have to negotiate with the Department of Human Settlements as well as Dr. Da. and feasibility studies on the suitability of land will be investigated in the next financial year. The construction of 2,000 houses, I think this is still a block project. The housing needs analysis will be updated continuously following a service assessment that will be conducted in the 21-22 financial year. Investigate the land at the post office and toll booths for housing. This project is yet unfunded, but we still have to investigate the feasibility of that open piece of land and whether that is suitable for housing. It's a very small portion of land, but we'll have to check whether it is suitable for housing. The erection of street lights and high mast lights. This will be prioritized in 22-23 financial year, but people's got to realize that the mandate of providing electricity in the Gamtoos Valley is not one for Kouga Municipality, but directly to Eskom. So I think the successful project that we had today in Stofwolk, electrifying the informal houses there, I think that was a very successful project in terms of forming a partnership with Eskom to get things done. So if you're going to do more high mast lights and providing more electricity through lights in the Gamtoos Valley, it will have to be done in partnership with Eskom. The demarcation of areas for SMMEs and the provision of permits. In terms of our LED department, this project is funded. It's ongoing and permits are issued continually at community services offices. The eradication of buckets, this is currently still unfunded. We'll have to reprioritize this. It's been a priority for the last 4 years. We've bought already 20 ablution facilities and currently rolling that out. But I think in Ward 10 Potency, it has to be connected onto a system, and it's going to take a while before we get this project done. So we'll look for more money. It still remains #1 priority on our IDP. The acquisition of land for new cemeteries and EIA approval is still needed for land availability in Potency. Speed humps at Tier and Steerman Street. I think we've over-exceeded our plans here. We not only resealed these 2 streets, but the speed humps have already been installed. Then Ward 13, finally, the request for housing. In Ward 13, this project is funded and waiting approval of funding for houses. Special needs school for Rosedale, this is not our mandate and therefore it's not funded in our budget, but I will have to handle this in IGR. The same is for the internal sewer system for Western. The internal sewer system for Western, this project is still unfunded and budget is required for the pre-planning. The vandalism of the wastewater treatment plant in Western, this is also still currently unfunded and funding will be sourced externally. Hopefully we can get money through foreign direct investment to deal with some of these big infrastructure projects. The handover of the unfinished sport field in Western, the handover was never done, I think due to the fact that the contractor underperformed in terms of developing that project, and therefore it cannot be handed over if it was not completed sufficiently. Communage land, still unfunded. This is not strictly our mandate and I will have to deal with this in the IGR meetings. A multipurpose center for Hankie. I would assume this is the western part of Hankie. This project is still unfunded. We're waiting for this precinct plan to be done for Hankie. We're currently busy with the Humansdorp. We've completed J-Bay. And once the Humansdorp one is finished, we'll probably come over to Hankie, which will determine whether a multi-purpose center can be built and where it will be built, but currently it's not funded. Street lights or high mast lights, yes, it is still unfunded. As I explained before, Eskom is the supplier. of electricity, so we got to go into partnership with them. Internet facilities at the library. This is funded for the financial year of 21-22. Deterioration of old mud houses. This is not our mandate. This belongs to the housing provider. That's the Department of Human Settlements. And I will have to raise this request with them. The beautification of Western, the entrance at Western. This is currently also still unfunded. I don't think it's one of the high priorities of Ward 13, and we'll have to put that in one of the outer years of our budget. The need for church urban, this is currently still unfunded. We embarked on a process of investigating and auditing where all Kouga land is, and if a church wants to apply for land, they will have to meet the criteria for a church. In other words, you will have to have a constitution, you'll have to have no less than 50 members, you've got to have annual financial statements. So once you comply with all that, you can apply for land for church, and we'll look at the completion of our audit and where we can allocate land for churches. The overflow of the Western Bridge, this is not our mandate. This is a provincial road, and we'll have to take it up with them. That department is nearing bankruptcy, so them redesigning and redeveloping that bridge, that's going to take a while. The maintenance of work to the Humansdorp-Hankie linked road, also again, that's a provincial road and not our mandate, and we'll raise the request with the Department of Roads. The recreational facility for elderlies, this project is also unfunded. It's not our mandate. I'll have to address this in the IGR meetings with the relevant department. The narrow road from Western to Hankie is risky, narrow, and should be widened. Again, this is a provincial road, and therefore we cannot provide funding for this project. It will have to be addressed with the relevant department. Okay, that brings me to the end of Ward 13. Chairperson, I'm not, and now I call you Chairperson. This is the Ward Development Fund in terms of reporting on the expenditure on the priorities that was given. This is a mandate of the ward councillor to share that with the community and his ward committee, so I'm not going to deal with that. At this point in time, we're going to hand over for the presentation of the draft budget for 21-22, and it will be presented by Shane. Shane?
Thank you, Mayor. All right, I have the privilege of presenting the draft budget for 2021-22 year. It is to be noted that certain challenges are experienced when drafting a budget. Please would you note the following: maintaining an acceptable employee-related cost ratio, increased costs associated with bulk electricity purchases, placing an upward pressure on municipal tariff increases. Also, we have the allocation of the required budget provision for the rehabilitation and maintenance of infrastructure. Also, a challenge that we experience is maintaining electricity and water losses at the acceptable levels, as well as maintaining revenue collection rates at the targeted levels, and maintaining an acceptable cost coverage ratio. Also, we have certain budget principles when drafting a budget. We have to ensure that the priorities and targets relating to the key strategic focus areas as outlined in the IDP are embedded in the budget, as the IDP feeds the budget. The level of property rates and tariff increases to take into account the need to address maintenance and infrastructure backlogs. Also, we have to ensure that the level of property rates and tariff increases to ensure the delivery of municipal services on a financially sustainable basis. We also have to ensure that the need to enhance the municipality's revenue base is taken into account. And it's to be noted that no loan funding is available to support the capital budget in view of financial affordability considerations. Just a brief look at our financial performance. As can be seen, we have the revenue by source. Total revenue for the draft budget 2021 year, we have a total of 965 million rand. Making up this 965 million rand, we have property rates at a total of 218 million, service charges for electricity 334 million, service charges water at 89 million, sanitation revenue at 58, and refuse at 55. It's to be noted that our other revenue has decreased, or we've proposed a decrease of 10 million, from 20 million rand to 10 million rand for the 2021-2022 year. Looking at it, a graphical representation of the revenue by source, we have our property rates at 22%, electricity revenue sitting at 34%, water revenue at 9.28%, sanitation revenue at 6%, and the rest making up the total. Then we have our expenditure by type, totaling 1 billion rand, an increase of 3.52% from the current year that we're in, the 2020-2021 year. Making up this 1 billion, we have employee-related costs sitting at 378 million rand. We have our depreciation, a non-cash item, at 91 million rand. We have bulk purchases increasing at 17% from 246 million rand in the current year to 290 million rand for the 2021-2022 year. Graphical representation of expenditure by type. We have our bulk purchases making up 26% of our expenditure. Our total expenditure, we have our employee-related costs at 35%. We have our depreciation being 8.5%, and our contracted services sitting at 7.3% of our total expenditure. Our tariffs, we have a proposed tariff increase of 5.25% for property rates. For water, we have 7.1 as the proposed increase. Sanitation, we have 6.5% proposed increase. Refuse at 6.5, electricity at 14.59%, and environmental management fee at no increase. We have our cash flow statement. Cash flow statement, cash and cash equivalents at the beginning of the 2021 year, sitting at 90 million rand, receipts at 951 million rand, payments at 996 million rand, giving us a net decrease in cash held of 44 million rand, bringing our cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year to 45 million rand. A quick look at our cash back reserves. We have our cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year sitting at 45 million rand for the 2021-2022 year. Cash and investments available at that amount. We have our working capital requirements sitting at 28 million rand. Other provisions, 3 million rand, and bringing us to a surplus of 13 million rand for the draft year, and bringing us to a cost coverage ratio of 0.6. Then we have our capital expenditure for the relevant directorates. For the Corporate Services Directorate, a total of 1.9 million rand. For Executive and Council Directorate, proposed capital expenditure of 2.7 million rand, and finance totaling a total amount of 2.4 million rand. Infrastructure and engineering. For the 2021 year, we have, I'm just going to briefly go through the bulk amount and moving into actually the MEG projects specifically. MEG projects for upgrading of sports facilities, at 4.1 million rand, upgrading sanitation system of Old Hankie, a MEG project at 9.2 million rand. Then we have another MEG project of upgrading of gravel roads in Humansdorp, sitting at 14 million rand. In terms of electricity, we have projects under the INEP funded projects. We have Ocean View electrification for 6.7 million rand. And then we have other internally generated projects sitting, oh, sorry, that's in the next slide. Planning, development, and tourism, a total capital expenditure proposed of 1.17 million rand. Community services, they have machinery and equipment at 2.26 million rand. Fencing, sports and recreational facility at 1.5 million rand. Vehicles funded by the district at 1.6 million rand. In total, community services has a proposed 7.49 million rand capital budget. In total, all capital expenditure proposed sitting at 61 million rand, making up this internally generated funds, funded projects at 25 million rand, and grant-funded projects at 35 million rand. All right, thank you so much. Hand over to Councillor Brenton.
Thank you very much to our Mayor Horatio Hendricks, as well as Mr. Shane Berger from our Budget and Treasury Department. And I think we've presented very detailed feedback to the community, as well as being very transparent and frank and honest with the community of where we have delivered and where we still need to deliver. So thank you, Mayor and Mr. Berger, for that. I would just like to remind the community that you can email your queries in on both the IDP and the budget to idp@kouga.gov.za. You can also leave comments on the YouTube comment section. What we have found is that there is a lot of people that view these videos after the time, so not everybody views it while it's live. So feel free to continue engaging with us and leave your comments either on the YouTube comment section, or as mentioned, idp@kouga.gov.za is the email address, and we have until the 7th of May to hand your comments in or your queries. And if you have not got access to those facilities, you can engage with your ward councillor, who can also send in what your comments and queries are on the draft budget and the draft IDP. So, Mayor, on that note, we don't have any queries. We just have one or two comments in the comment section. So we can wrap up this meeting for tonight. Thank you for the community of Hankie, Potensi, Lurie, and Thornhill who have joined us tonight for your IDP meeting. It's highly appreciated. We are determined to engage with our communities, with COVID or without COVID. And it's very exciting to see how Kouga Municipality has transitioned into this new world where we can engage with our communities virtually. So on that note, thank you very much for joining us and have a great evening.